Hello and welcome to this really interesting episode of the yWe podcast. I'm Sam,
I'm Sapna.
and today we're going to talk to you a little bit about yWe Media.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Nice, yeah, it should be good. It should be good. So, what is yWe Media?
We are an ethical software company. What does that mean, Sam?
Now, that's a really good question. Now, I'm someone that's really passionate about ethical software, right? So, if you look at the world today, what happens is that basically you've got these big technology companies that are taking everybody's data. And if you're a business working in, any sort of space, retail or online or marketing, then you'll most likely have a website. And usually most businesses are actually complicit in big technology taking away user data. So we want to build tools, software that enables businesses to not be complicit in that, and also provide some excellent features that they can't get anywhere else.
I think that's fabulous, which is where I started my journey. We met about 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
Not from the tech industry or the marketing industry, but come with a finance background for over 20 years, started in the US. And I loved the fact that you cared about ethics. And that was where you started the conversation when we met. And I thought, actually, you know what? If I'm going to take the plunge of leaving a 9-to-5 job, because I've always wanted to work for myself, and do something, it had to be something I also believed in, which I think doing something that is ethical. Everybody talks about B Corp and talks about sustainability, but what happens when it comes to the software industry? What we should be also thinking about it in terms of, are we being ethical there? And I think that's a topic not very many people talk about.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And, we're very lucky as a startup to have Sapna on board. I mean, she's got great skills and expertise in operations, finance, and, she's going to be our CEO to take us forward and really drive the mission for what it is we want to do, which is really exciting. And in terms of just one thing that you picked up on there, I think another thing that businesses don't think about is the fact that a lot of these systems are really complicated. Like it's really hard to understand your data from Google Analytics. It's really hard to understand whether your copyright is okay or not from a podcasting perspective. So the other element to yWe, the other thing that we're really passionate about, is providing business tools that are really easy to understand, right? And surely you can agree with that.
Yes, so our interface, we've made it, because I, again, don't come from the tech background, we've made it so that it's actually very easy for everybody, including myself, and anybody who's looking at it to be able to use it, to implement it, to add it. I mean, look at me today. Today is my first podcast, and it's actually very easy when you're thinking about it, and we make things seamless. And we also have, radio producers and editors who create the human touch. I think that's what we don't want to leave. We don't want to be that company who doesn't have a human touch.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing, because basically, I'm sure we can all appreciate this, but everything is artificial in the modern world. Like, you go on social media, it's a bit artificial. You go and use some software, it's a bit artificial. It's created by artificial intelligence. There's that human touch has just disappeared. And that's one thing that we're also passionate about and excited about, is that we're going to offer technology and products that have that human touch that other people don't think about anymore, which is really important. And the other thing to talk about as well is the fact that we're on this journey together. So what do you want to get out of this journey from your side? I mean, you're in a really interesting position from the fact that you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but, this is something you've always wanted to do, and now you're kind of in that startup space. So for you, what's your goal? What's your vision for yWe?
I want it to be the brand that people think of when they think of ethical software. So I think actually we are launching our products in the right time, because I think people are really thinking about it. I think countries are thinking about it, with the implementation of GDPR, other countries that have very strict privacy laws like Iceland and Germany. And I do think that, eventually ones that don't, like the United States, will have to come around. And I think actually, we're trying to hit something before the bell curve and everybody is trying to join, and we have a solution for anybody who's thinking about it or saying, oh gosh, what are we going to do? I mean, we have a box standard version, but again, we don't want to lose the human touch. So if you are a larger corporation, we will create the bespoke version as well. And we'll talk to you, we'll chat to you, we'll see what it is that you actually want from the product. How can we help? How can you get all the information that you still need to be able to grow, but not lose.
Yeah.
Not people not lose their privacy. People actually aren't worried about giving it away.
Yeah, no, and just hearing you speak about it gets me even more passionate about it because it's such an important mission in this world. You know, so many companies and tech companies and other organisations have just forgotten about privacy. They've just forgotten about this sort of almost for a long period of time. It was a guaranteed right. It was a human right to have your private right to privacy, right, in many countries around the world. And you know, we just seem to have forgotten about that and let these big companies in and take everything over in terms of knowing everything about us and stuff like that. So it's great to kind of go back to the drawing board and think about things again from that perspective, which is good.
And how great would it be to have your own copyright of your podcast, or
Yeah.
to actually think, you know what, I do newsletters, but what can we do to make it better? What's our audience going to be saying? How can we grow our audience?
Yeah.
And then we as a business can actually help businesses say, you know what, you have these 5 newsletters. Let's make them into podcasts. This is how we can do it. But we'll do it in your branding. We have you own your own copyright. We just want to help you on your journey. I think that's what we want to be as a company. We want to help people and companies on their journey. Not saying that, eventually we're hoping that large corporations also want to join our journey.
Yeah. And the other thing is we're a small startup at the moment that's got big ambitions. But one thing that we're going to be committed to for our entire sort of lifetime as a company is listening to you. So if you use one of our products, if you use one of our services, then we want to hear feedback from you. We want to hear, what's our tool missing, what's our software missing, so that we can understand how we can make it better, how we can improve it, how we can work towards, an even better product for everybody, if that makes sense. And we're committed to that. There's so many times in my lifetime of using software where you go, oh, this is good, but it'd be really great if it could do this. And you give the feedback to the big tech company or to the tech company, and then what happens to it? Nothing happens. Nothing changes. We want to be able to also, make those changes based on user feedback, which is also really important from that side of things. So yeah.
Sam, so you went out 6 months ago and you found you were looking for a co-founder. Yeah. You interviewed quite a lot of people. What is it that made you think, actually, this is the right fit? Why did you want a co-founder? What were you looking for? And what are your hopes for the company?
I think, it goes back to something that I'll touch upon that somebody said to me, is that actually most founders go through something called founder syndrome, right? So you start an idea or you start something, and then you get this sort of ego that comes with it, where you go, oh, I'm the best thing in the world, and this idea is going to take everyone over and everything. But sometimes you have to accept that you need help. You need help from external people, and you need different skills, and sometimes better skills, in order to, achieve what it is that you want to achieve. So it was actually longer than 6 months ago. It was 6 months that you joined us, but
yes,
actually it was about a year and a half ago.
That is right, actually.
For a co-founder. But effectively, at that point, I realised, the way I see it is we have some great ideas, we have some great products that we've already put out there, and actually we just need some help to really kind of take it forward and drive and develop it to go into the next direction. And having, yWe was founded in 2018 and we're here today, and having not achieved that much from 2018 to today, it was pretty clear that we needed that help and that support to find a co-founder to come in and really kind of do stuff. But the other thing is, after running the company for a while, we also kind of run out of ideas. So you need that fresh sort of environment, that fresh team, that fresh perspective. And so far, it's been great to work with you from that perspective. There's plenty of fresh stuff, I can tell you that, which is good. But I guess, the question you're getting at was advice for other people. Is that what you're thinking? I mean, if you're a startup founder and you're kind of going at it alone and gunning at it alone, obviously, we all respect you. We think it's a great thing, Elon Musk once said, being a startup founder is like putting glass in your mouth and voluntarily chewing, because it's that difficult to do it on your own. So it's, we have respect for those people, but sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and go, I could achieve this better, or I could do this better if we had some other people involved, if that makes sense. So I think, for startup founders out there that are potentially looking for something like that, looking for a co-founder is a great way to do that.
And what was your journey? What was it that you sat down and said, actually, this is what I need? And then how did you approach looking for your co-founder?
Yeah, I think really, I looked at myself. So I've had a career in marketing for the last decade and a bit. And at the same time, I've always been sort of very into technology, into podcasting, radio, etc., etc. So for me, I've got very technical skills, but also I've also got good marketing skills. But I don't have operational skills from a big perspective. I don't have financial skills. I don't have any sort of real legal jargon skills, for example. So for me, it was really clear that in order to take this organisation forward, I need to do what I can do best, and I need somebody to come in and help me do what they can do best to really kind of take it forward. So that was the first thing, was identifying the skill gaps that I had and looking for a candidate or a potential person to basically look at, where will they fill those gaps, and can they offer more than those gaps from that side of things. And I think, typically then you go through and you look for specific people. So for me, I put it out on Indeed, the job site. I also put it out on LinkedIn. So, a few people would find, I think you applied on LinkedIn for it. And effectively then I would have an interview with each of the candidates I thought were really good. Obviously, a lot of the time with job adverts, you get some people that aren't the right fit. So, I'm always a big believer in giving everyone a response. So I would say to them, I'm sorry, it's not a good fit right now, but I'd reach out to people, have an interview. And then I set out a 3-stage process because I felt like this was the right thing to do. Have a virtual call, then ask, we had a board of advisors at the time, so then ask our board to have a call and to provide feedback, have a second call after that feedback, and then have an in-person meet. And the in-person meet's really important. You can probably think in your head that actually everything can be virtual these days. And, a lot of people think that, but actually with certain individuals, you have to have sort of a creative connection in terms of moving a company forward. So you kind of only get that in the room. It's very hard to get that over a Zoom call. So that was the kind of 3-stage process, and that's how we actually went about finding you.
Yeah, exciting.
Which is great. And why did you decide to join yWe? I guess that's throw it back at you the other way around.
Okay. So I've always wanted to be an owner of a company because I feel like I'm a really hard worker, and sometimes working hard for somebody else and just running yourself low, you get to a point where actually, why am I not using everything I have for something I believe in and I could grow? And like you, I was also looking for a co-founder who had the opposite skills to me. So I'm great at operations. I'm great at finance. I'm also quite good at going out and researching things and sales. What I'm not good at is actually understanding the marketing, understanding, how to present and grow in that terms. And I actually think it's been very interesting because working with you so far has really helped me understand something where even when I was sitting next to colleagues who were in marketing, I probably still didn't completely get the gist of, or in IT. And it's been a huge learning curve, but it's been great because actually now I can say, I get that. I understand that. Let me see. Okay, let's do this. Let's figure out how to move this forward. And I really do believe that we are actually hitting the market at the right time because I think people really are thinking, I don't want my privacy taken. Everything is out there. And I think, even though AI is the it thing, I also think along with that, people are also getting very nervous. So with the nervousness, there comes a market for something that is kind of like an anti-trend to the it thing. Yeah. And not saying that they can't work together eventually, but it is being at the forefront of that and figuring out, let's do this way, and then let's figure out how both can work together eventually. And I think that's where we're going to go, actually.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing, and that's why it's such an exciting place to be, is because there's a real need for this. And the other thing is that when you mention it there, that anxiety that's kind of coming with AI and these other things as well, but not just that, I think people are becoming more aware of the fact that privacy is an important thing. We've all known that when you go on Facebook or you go on a different app and I was talking about that with somebody in the house the other day and they're giving me ads for it, and that's terrifying when you experience things like that. Or you go onto a website to book a flight on BA, for example. Other airlines are available, of course. But if you go onto a website like that and then you go around Google and you look at other things or other websites, then there's ads for that specific airline that are following you around, and kind of, it's almost like, and Apple did a great job at this. Not to anybody that knows me will know that, of course, he's mentioned the Apple people, but Apple did a great job at this, which is they made an advert for privacy. And what the advert was is this guy on his phone, and he was walking around, and then every vendor that he walked past or went through followed him. So then he was walking down the street, and there was 500 people behind him, following him and looking at his every move. And then when he gets back to his flat, he gets back into his apartment or flat, he's there, and people are going through his folders, people are going through his drawers and looking at everything he's got. And then on the phone he says, "Ask app not to track," and they all disappear. And it's a great advert, but that just illustrates the exact thing. If someone was following you around, if you had a stalker that was checking everything you were doing, you would not be comfortable with it. But we do. That's exactly what's going on. And businesses are complicit, which is why we're trying to make business tools that enable businesses to go, do you know what? We actually care about our customers' data. And, we were looking at stats recently. I mean, 91.1% of end users actually would trust, 91.1% of businesses would actually change their analytics software or something to follow suit and offer an experience that will increase trust and loyalty when it comes to stuff. And I think that's true.
I think it's educating the consumers, really. I think businesses will follow what the consumers say that is okay to do. And I think at the moment, I was talking to you about this the other day, if I had known 5 years ago when I kept just blindly pressing OK when the cookies button came up, that actually I am now tracked somewhere for everything that I've done. And yes, I get pop-ups all the time. I wouldn't do it. I didn't do it anymore. You've educated me in that. And I wish actually lots of people were educated in those terms. And I actually think, when you get educated and you think, actually, I really don't want this to happen. Companies have to follow suit. And I think we're at that point. I think the new generation definitely knows that that's not what they want. I think everybody else is starting to learn, actually, they hate opening up their phones sometimes and having things pop up and it being ads. And I also think sometimes, like, for instance, losing that anonymity when you're trying to make a name for yourself, but it's just algorithms and everything running on it, versus actually, I read this article and that was quite cool. I probably would have not read it if it wasn't there. And if I want to read something particular, I'll go and search for it. I think those things were great back when all of this didn't exist. I know now I'm aging myself, but I think we're going back to that. I think everything has a cycle of, 10, 15, 20 years. And I think even with the advancements, everything is coming back to that cycle of actually what's out there that offers me this. And we as a brand offer that. So yes, we have 2 products out at the moment that are going out that we're relaunching. We're bringing, as we say, one is newer. The other one is being brought off the shelf because I've made Sam bring it off the shelf. One will help businesses market themselves better in terms of podcasts, but they can then own their copyright. We do everything, so it's not daunting. We take the time off of you in terms of editing, and that's the kind of stuff that really, actually, if I was a business, would think, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. But I also don't want to just put it into any system and it tell me, actually, this is what you should have. And half of it's good. The other half is like, oh, well, I kind of liked what I said there. I still want that in there. I think a computer will take things out and not listen to you, where I think when you have a human editing, it's like, actually, that actually sounds really good. Or you've taken that out, but I thought it sounded good. The reason we've taken it out is because actually when you put it in, it doesn't fit. And this is why it doesn't fit.
Can I just pick up on something there you said that was really fascinating, that I genuinely believe, is if you listen to an AI edited podcast, not a human edited podcast, an AI edited podcast, but what happens is they actually all sound the bloody same. So it is like robotics in a way. It's like everyone's becoming this monotone podcasting voice. They automatically edit out every sometimes if you've got a nervous presenter, that's quite good if there's a lot of ums, right? But if there's the occasional here and there, well, that makes you human. That's actually something that people understand and they acknowledge and they get. So the fact that they're just kind of blanketly removing these things just dehumanizing the audio experience. And you know, that's not going to work for you. And do you know why it's not going to work for you? Because effectively, you know, with so many podcasts out there now, you need a podcast that genuinely stands out. You need a human podcast that sounds like it's from a human, that genuinely stands out with good content and good messaging. And you know, as Sapna has already alluded to, we've got radio producers that help with the creation of podcasts. We also provide equipment in order to make it sound great, and we do all that editing for you as well. So the whole package is a really solid foundation for making sure that you can do a podcast, but not just a podcast that converts. That's the main thing with this, is we want to get, you know, businesses to do podcasting and see the results and see the benefits of podcasting.
And we want it to be in your own brand. So therefore, when it goes on your website, it has your branding on it.
Yeah.
You can pick it, you choose it, you edit it how you want, and it's your brand. You own it. Things are being taken away from people all the time, and that's a shame. If it's something you've spent time creating, it should be yours.
Yep.
I also, and the other new exciting thing is the forefront of being able to go on a website and put your analytics in. Nobody, when they come on your website, will ever have to say, oh, I reject, I accept.
Yep.
It doesn't come. I think as a user, I would instantly spend an extra 2 minutes on that website, because I haven't had to go through and say, okay, I don't want any of this being tracked. But then you come to our dashboard and you'll get all the information you still need. So the only thing you don't get is an email, and you can have ways to have that if they want, after they've reviewed your website and they say, actually, I want to be contacted by you, I will leave you my email. Come and contact me. And I think that is it's impactful to think, actually, you know what? I'm not going to have my salesperson go through 20 leads that actually they don't want to be contacted by you. They fell onto the website by mistake, or they were just looking and then they went and looked at 3 others and they've made their decision kind of up. And by your salesperson talking to them, they're actually getting aggravated by you. Where if they've left it, they want to hear from you. Yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, Traxit is designed by me, and I'm a marketeer. So for everyone that is in marketing, or for marketeers out there, digital marketeers, marketing people, the dashboard and the whole experience is built for you. So it's actually designed by marketeers for marketeers as well, from that side.
No, I will interrupt you there. Not just for marketeers. No,
of course,
because I'm not a marketeer. And to be honest, we've changed the dashboard so that is also presentable to somebody who used to be in numbers and things. Actually, I like to see it this way. I would want to know this. If I go to my finance team, they might ask me about this. And here it is in a very nice dashboard that I can give to them. And they will say, okay, well, fine, I'll let you continue what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, the point I'm making is that, you know, the data that's in there is, you know, it's put in there by marketeers to give you the data you need, right? So you've got that confidence that when you're in there looking at this simple and easy to understand dashboard with these numbers, they're numbers that actually mean something. You know, it's not like alternative analytics providers that steal hundreds and hundreds of customers' data and, you know, start doing these tracking algorithms, etc. It's not like that, where you go in their dashboard and it's like, whoa, what's all this stuff? It's a bit like standing in the middle of Times Square looking up. Whoa, what's all this stuff? Oh, that looks interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. But that's not really relevant to me. That's a Hello Kitty advert for a 5-year-old girl. That's not relevant to me. So it's kind of like that analogy, you know, just looking, wow, what's everything? Whereas with us, you look at it and you go, oh, that's really cool. That's really interesting. Oh, I didn't know that. That's really excellent. So it's really positive.
I mean, we found something out about our own website today when we were looking at our dashboard, in the fact that actually we thought our market in the United States might be harder to sell, but they're actually coming to see us more than some of the other counterparts that we thought would be more interested, which was interesting, because it means either we haven't gotten our name out in those markets like we should, and that's where we should focus, or it means that there's a need in a place that we didn't think there might be as much of a need, and people are interested, which is very telling. And we really want to help, you know, SMEs, small corporations, startups. We want to work with you. Not saying we're not going to hit the large corporations, but, you know, we understand you. We want to help you develop in your journey, because you're going to help us develop in our journey.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, that feedback, you know, we want to understand what are the key points for those organisations of any size. You know, what for startups, what do you need for enterprise? Well, what would you like, and all this kind of stuff. So there's that flexibility in there as well. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I think we've been rambling on for a little while now, which is interesting, but no qualms. So, Sapna, why don't you just give us sort of your one exit thought for this episode of the podcast? What do you want to convey to the listeners out there today?
If you have thought about ethics and your privacy in the last few months, and you are starting a company, you sit in any part of the company, come have a conversation with me. I'm on LinkedIn. My email is on our company website. I would love to have a conversation. You don't have to buy the product. It would be great just to hear from you in terms of our market research as well. We are starting off. You might be further along in your journey. You might be at the startup stage as well. And it would be great to collaborate, to understand. And it doesn't always have to come with the sales at the end.
Yeah. No, fantastic. And for me, you know, just remember a world where cookies are the norm, and you go onto the website and cookies are there, and you click accept all, and then they follow you around and track you. Remember that world, because we're going to change it, and it's not going to be around in the next decade. So watch out, because all websites are going to be great, and all business tools are going to be fantastic and ethical, because yWe is coming, and we're very excited to change and provide that change to the software market as a whole. I think you said something really special for me.
So I did. The B Corp, movement started with 2 people sitting around, and it's huge now. We want to be the B Corp of the software world.
Absolutely.
We want to start a movement, and that is what we're standing for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Excellent. Well, look, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching, if you're watching as well. And we'll definitely catch you in the next episode of our podcast. Thanks very much.
Thank you.